So now we go directly to the program and to our first speaker. He's an e-commerce entrepreneur and Bitcoin specialist from the Netherlands. He's the founder of Into Bitcoin, which serves as a starting point for businesses, governments, and NGOs to use and apply Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, and blockchain technology. He's also a co-producer of a recently viral video called Bitcoin Properly, and he's also been on Bulgarian media as well, just this week. So please help me welcome to the stage Mr. Rutger van Zuidam.
Thank you. Thank you for the wonderful introduction. It's a real pleasure to be here in Sofia at the second day of the conference. I'm a really lucky guy because after the conference I have one more week of road tripping through Bulgaria with a friend of mine. So I feel honored that I can open the day of the conference. Let's talk about Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, and especially the blockchain, because this is what is the main topic in my country nowadays. Just to see who am I dealing with here in the audience. It feels like a funny question to ask at a Bitcoin conference, but who has Bitcoins here? So I would say that's about 60% of the audience. Yeah, cool. I recently was I was talking to government people, 400 of them, and none of them had any Bitcoins. And then one lady said, well, my son has some. So don't get me wrong, I am not here to tell you that Bitcoin is maybe going to be something, but the blockchain will be for sure. No, I think the blockchain is there because of Bitcoin. But I do want to point out that why is it that our banks this week told on national television that they are openly that they are experimenting with this blockchain technology, and therefore they are also experimenting with Bitcoin, because you cannot have experiments with blockchains without the coins, and they use the Bitcoin blockchain as well. So this is actually quite big news for the Netherlands, because politicians are watching this, regulators are watching this, and it's very excited to talk with the banks and the Dutch National Bank about these experiments. So first, let's see why they are so interested in playing with this. Because do they feel threatened, or do they want to innovate? So let's start with trade. It's a very basic thing. Humans trade, but animals trade too. Elephants, ants, we all trade. So therefore we have money, of course. This is very early money. And because everybody trades with everyone worldwide, it's become very complex. Some products are a very complex structure of ownership. For instance, a house or a car, you need a license plate and everything. So therefore we use bookkeeping. This is a tally stick from the 16th century in England. This is how they register a certain amount of value. So therefore we have a bookkeeping, we have ledgers. And with the traditional ledger, the bookkeeping is closed. You cannot see my bookkeeping, I cannot see your bookkeeping, and we can certainly not see the bank's bookkeeping and ledgers. So this is why we need trusted third parties. Trusted third parties are governments, accountants firms, notaries, and also the money itself. So you don't have to trust me, you just have to trust the money. You don't have to trust me for being Rutger, you trust my government for saying I am. So this is a really interesting part, because it opens up another door. Because what we have done with the money from internet banking is just the same as we have done with the books on Amazon in e-readers. It's still a book, it's still not programmable, it's static. So the traditional money in your PayPal account, in your internet banking, is just static. You cannot do much with it. So what if we have a trading system for the internet age, and to be used in the internet age by anyone and anything? And of course we need to solve some problems like double spending and all the things you have heard of, well, that Bitcoin fixes. So then we start with the public ledger. because Bitcoin essentially is software that allows a network of computers to maintain a public ledger. And then it is distributed. So we can say whoever owns the ledger has the power over the ledger. So now the banks have the ledger, and you need to access the bank in order to get to the ledger. And in the Netherlands, if I want to get to my transactions like past 18 months ago, I have to pay. So I cannot even get to my own transactions. But with Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, everybody owns the ledger. And as you may know, you can start your own ledger with communities alike. So I just really like to watch the ledger at work. This is it should be a video of blockchain.info, but really when you watch blockchain.info at work, you just see the transactions coming by, and anywhere in the world they are happening, and it's great to see that the transaction volume is moving up a bit at the moment. So there's a lot of information in it, but this transaction in particular, it's not really good to see here, but it is an over $100 million transaction, and the best part is that it happened on a Sunday when all the banks are closed.
Yes, it was a cash transaction. Like, let's be honest, this is like a transaction moving money from a wallet to a new wallet.
Yes. So if I move, it's good that we have questions already. But if I move my internet money from the bank to, let's say, another bank, it will take a couple of days. So what is really important with the information in the ledger is not only the amount and the owners and everything, but we have a timestamp here and the amount of confirmations. So because of the math-based security and governance system that cryptocurrency have, it really allows the miners to maintain the ledger and check on the transactions. And the main thing is that they conceive consensus. They all should agree that the transaction happened. And this is very interesting because of the timestamp and the agreement of the network. It is like we have a notary present at every transaction. So when we really want to make things official, we go to the notary. And now we can do this through the blockchain, because the trusted third party is completely automized by the miners, by the blockchain, and by the cryptography in it, by the math. So we have a shared single source of truth. And anyone from banking will know that a single source of truth is not easy to get, to maintain. It is something like 10 years ago, banks were still struggling with, and we're happy we have it now, but it is the technology, as we say in the Netherlands, it is technology from the 80s. So now we have a global shared ledger. Love Windows. And it is not owned by anyone except all the people that choose to run it. And anyone can see in it and build upon it. There is no need for any green light to use it. So if we ask what is Bitcoin, then we compare it to the internet for registrations and transactions for many types of ownership. For instance, currency. But it can also be information or identity, or anything you can use in logistics or any government systems. So we are just building protocols on top of the internet to build new stuff with and build new services. So what about the hype? So why is there hype about Bitcoin and not about blockchain? Well, of course, the Bitcoin, its value went up and down and up and down, and this is what the media likes to write about. And this is what grabs bankers' attention. So even people, they ask me in the Netherlands, well, Bitcoin, isn't it kind of dead because, well, the value is not going up anymore, and I hear nothing about it from the media about its value. So couldn't they be more wrong? Because then also you have, of course, some hacks Then in the Netherlands I have to explain that if Gmail is hacked, then it does not compromise the email protocol. So the difference between the bitcoins, the currency, and the protocol is not really understood by most mainstream media. And then, of course, Bitcoin is used by criminals. So luckily, dollars and euros are not. So this is what we have to explain again and again and again. And also, this technology, not only when people start finding out about the blockchain and how it really works, they understand they can even fight crime better. But well, they have to look into the technology first to understand that. So Deloitte published a report saying that in average, the mainstream media is really distracting a lot of parties in the market, like banks, like regulators, like governments, from the true potential of cryptocurrency, which is in the blockchain for them. Yeah. So back to what we're doing. In the Netherlands, if this video is not working, I can show you as well. No. Well, in the Netherlands, I said, well, if you cannot buy beer with Bitcoin, then it will never happen, right? So we organized a Bitcoin cafe, and we tried to find a point-of-sales system which was already existing. And we thought, well, let's see when we hook up Bitcoin in there. And it was amazingly simple. Within 3 days, we had it all integrated, and the system was fully operational. So you type in 3 beers, hit, instead of PIN or cash, you hit Bitcoin, you see the QR code, and it's fully integrated, and it works. So then, I thought, well, what's next? And then I had this friend with a Google Glass. And then we said, well, there's no market for Google Glass. I said, oh, that's great, because I know another small market, which is Bitcoin. And then we combined the two. So you can now use your Coinbase and blockchain.info wallet with your Google Glass, and it goes like this. It goes, you put on the Google Glass, and you say, okay, Glass, make a payment, and then it starts the camera, it zooms in on the QR code, you know, this is Terminator style, and then you see the amount and the transaction fees and everything, and then you nod twice, and it blinks green. And the payment is done. And the funny thing is that we didn't use our own wallet, we used someone else's wallet. Can you imagine? I don't even go to the bank, but I use their technology and their services and their accounts. It's unimaginable, almost. But with Coinbase and blockchain, which really are the new type of banks without the legacy, because they use Bitcoin for reconciliation and they have all the new systems, they have built APIs. So I can create wallets, I can create addresses, I can do transactions, I can do authentication and everything through their API without asking. So when I was showing it to them, they were like, you did that with our API? And they were surprised. I didn't have to ask them to build new features. So now they have a US dollar wallet, and it does instant trading. And this is something really interesting, because now you can have a Coinbase account, put dollars on it, and pay through the Bitcoin network. So you can pay in dollars, really. You just use Bitcoin as a transfer coin. Because as a merchant, you accept Bitcoins and you get the dollars the next day. So this is really interesting, because we have all these places accepting Bitcoin. And it is really, really cool if you can pay at a bar with Bitcoin. But to open new markets, for instance, the tea market at Tealet, you can buy the tea from this family in China using Bitcoin. But now, they can open up a Coinbase account and not keep the Bitcoins, but keep the dollars, maybe, in the future. So, I have dollars on my Coinbase account. It's like a wallet, bank. I pay them through Bitcoin, and they can choose to keep the Bitcoin, or maybe other types of currencies. So what will this do if you can buy anything at the source? without somebody mastering the market. So this is, of course, because that's why our banks are interested in the Netherlands, opening up new markets. And these investors, in just 5 of these companies, there are over 130 million investment. Blockstream received 20 million in seed capital. And the investors in these companies also invested in the companies below, so they must be thinking about something, and they are getting the internet right. So if you compare it to other types of investments in payment industry, in personal finance, then of the top 12 investors, quite a lot also invest in Bitcoin. And this is a message for everyone, because it says there is money available for your ideas and for your teams. If you can get a great team, if you can grab the low-hanging fruit, if you can find a problem and somebody is willing to pay for the problem, then we can invest plenty of money. There are so many statements saying there's more money to invest than there are good startups to go around in this space. So feel free. So what's next? What are we looking at in the Netherlands? We are building hackathons together with banks, accounting firms like KPMG, Deloitte, but also with government institutions as well. So what we are seeing is blockchain browsers. So really it is a way to explore financial information and to add data with it to see what happens and see if patterns emerge. You can imagine that our tax agency is interested in this. There are all types of APIs you can use now just to build really quickly. If you want to start a financial service, you can get these functionalities out of the box and start using the APIs. And it becomes easier and easier to build upon the blockchain and to build upon the Bitcoin technology. So now we see, I mean, what happens when you connect a SIM card to a Bitcoin address and you're a Vodafone? And you don't really care what the value is of the Bitcoin, you just say, well, 1 minute is worth X amount of euros or anything, and you can transfer between. My other company is into embedded e-commerce, so you have a blog, and you have an advertisement, and you click on it, and instead of going to the web shop, you see a native checkout. And what we are currently developing is that you only have to scan one QR code and send both the payment and your personal information at once, so you don't have to fill in everything anymore, because the personal information comes also through the blockchain and is verified. And of course we are seeing all these Bitcoin 2.0 things with colored coins and everything, and maybe it's very difficult still to use them for a lot of people, but it's fun to experiment with, and it also shows a promise that we can imagine any type of asset, any type of what you can own to use it through the Bitcoin blockchain. Whether it's stocks, any type of currency, or key, or a house or a car. So it's really nice because the governments, our municipalities, they ask, can we program coins for neighborhoods to get more social interaction and to get in neighborhoods that aren't running their economy so well up and running with extra monetary policy that is specific, good for that neighborhood. And of course, it is still in the early days, but with Bitcoin, this will all be possible. And then these government agencies, in the Netherlands at least, they start get interested in it because it can fix a problem for them. And of course, every altcoin has its own promise. So you can use the Bitcoins for this, or any type of other coin. So we'll be talking about next in a couple of minutes. And but I personally really like Dogecoin, because what it shows to me is that it's not only about the technology, it's not only about the coin, it's also what you do with it. It's about the culture, it's about the social thing as well, because Dogecoins really serve another purpose. People are treating it differently as a money, and that's really interesting to me. This is a real big promise as well. So you have Dogecoin, you have Next, you have whatever coin you want. So imagine a healthcare coin, which you can only spend at health expenses and not at a beer or television or whatever. So you can program all kinds of compliance rules into the money, so you don't have to check afterwards in a bureaucratic process if somebody is keeping up with the rules. No, if somebody's not keeping up with the rules, the money simply won't work. So this is what other government agencies, like healthcare, insurance companies, are working on in the Netherlands as well, or experimenting with. So on the blockchain, nobody knows or cares if you're a fridge. Because is trust something between humans, or is trust a technology? And through the blockchain, this machine can trust somebody. So machines will be able to autonomously perform economical interaction with humans or with companies, which makes drones and fridges and houses economic entities that can work together in networks. So this is what Philips is working about here in the Netherlands, and we have some other IT companies working on that too. And of course, our government is interested in government services through the blockchain, because I can register my identity through the blockchain. I can register my license plate through the blockchain, on the blockchain. And can my license plate perform economic transactions as well then? Is it connected to other wallets I own? So you can also build a chamber of commerce. It's actually already there in a way. So this guy, he put his files on proof of existence, and you can check them, and you just have to prove it's real. And that's what the Chamber of Commerce does. Of course, they serve a lot of other purposes as well. They connect people, they organize events, but really the basic functionality is to store this information and say, this is real, I checked it. So the university is doing the same thing. You can do a cryptography master, and they put the certificate in the blockchain, and you can't fake it. So when we look at who's in the front seat here as a country development, I think there's a huge potential here in Bulgaria, because I know there are a lot of great developers and entrepreneurs here. But I also see that most countries are struggling with regulators, with politics, because they focus, on only the money side of it and not on the innovation side. And what we're really seeing is that England and California said, well, we are a pro-innovation country. We want to keep a culture where basically anyone should be able to experiment and rather work together with regulators than regulators saying, well, you can't do that. And we're seeing the same movement now in the Netherlands as banks are speaking out. We need to improve this technology because other countries are getting more upfront, and we have a very strong financial sector. And it brings a lot of opportunities in export as well, because if you fix a local problem through the blockchain, then it's more easy to export it to the rest of the world, It's a global solution. So what is the disruption? It's, of course, the buzzword of the year. And, of course, everybody knows there's a lot of people unbanked. What happens when these people are accessing a global market? What happens if they are free in the global market? And a lot of people are protesting against all kinds of coalitions, about all kinds of trade agreements between governments, which we cannot control. But the free market, through cryptocurrency, is in the control of everyone. So what will happen then? And of course, we know that internet technology is a very disruptive thing. We are seeing Uber now, although their ethics are, you can have discussion about that, but did it kill newspaper? Did it kill television? No, it did not, but it took it took their position, and we made them, we're not longer dependent on getting our information from it. So the internet really shows us what happens when information is free, globally, and shareable. So what will the Bitcoin technology and cryptocurrency do to money, banking, and law? So my message for today is to get a mindset of experimenting and discussing with banks, with regulators, with the government, what's in it for them too. Because I think there's a great promise in innovating, saving a lot of money, get rid of a lot of bureaucracy and everything. So experiment is my message. Thank you very much.